We've been very successful at bringing a lot of people to a beautiful place to live. Hillsborough County has 1.2 million people. The metropolitan area of Tampa Bay, about 3 million people. And we're going to continue to grow.
It's a real mess out there this morning. Bumper to bumper, worst traffic in the country.
What we've created in Hillsborough County are communities that are totally car dependent. And that's been the mistake. We don't have many alternatives to the automobile. So people live in homes spread out throughout the county, very far from employment centers. And the only way that they can get somewhere is really by the automobile.
16 years ago, it wasn't so bad. But today, it is literally a nightmare. Gasoline prices are not going to go down. They're going to continue to rise. And we're going to continue to have folk that need to get in, to be in a certain place at a certain time, and they're not going to be able to get there.
Widening failed roads to try to deal with growing populations by itself isn't enough. And the cost is so exorbitant, we've got to find an alternative.
When you look at all the other major metropolitan areas of this country, all of them, except for us in Detroit, have a modern, new transit system. And that's what we're missing.
Now entering Stadium Station, doors to my left.
Without the improvement of transit as part of the future for transportation in this region, we're going to have more of the same, which is going to be more pollution, more congestion, and a lot of people are very unhappy about those options.
The Tampa Bay community really stands out as an area that has not invested in a modern transit system. 20 years from now will be such a glaring deficiency that it will truly affect how people live day by day, how they get around, the quality of their life, and economic development. It will make all the difference.
HART! HART! HART!
HART is really going through a fantastic transformation.
We were nominated and identified, and we will be awarded come this October by the American Public Transit Association as the best transit system of our size in the United States.
Years of success that got us to this point. So a lot of effort, a lot of evolution, a lot of people working together. This is a great community, and it is a great time to be here.
Marion Transit Center.
I love driving for HART. HART gives me the opportunity to add value to people's lives.
I can sit and relax.
I recall being frustrated and impatient with other people when I was driving the car and getting home all stressed out just from the drive, whereas now I can sit and read a book.
A lot of stress with drivers cutting you off, as opposed to sitting back riding. It's very stress-free and relaxing.
Sit back, relax, we'll take care of it all.
You know, I had the white knuckles getting to work and stuff, and now I don't have that. So I drift in and out, like kind of take a nap on the way in and on the way back. So I decompress, which I wasn't able to do in the car because you're just, you know, like this when you get out. So it's a very enjoyable ride, and I feel very safe. That's very important to me, too.
Let me talk about the Rapid Transit Investment Plan. And why do we call it that? Well, it is an investment. It's an investment into this community. The plan itself takes the current service we provide as a foundation and it builds upon it. This plan will allow us to add up to 500 miles of bus service and rail service throughout the community.
It means you can take an express bus, a local bus, a circulator within the downtown core or West Shore, flex service, which just covers perhaps a neighborhood like Sun City Center or Brandon, BRT, which is Bus Rapid Transit, which is a specialized type of express bus, which will go down a major corridor like Fletcher or Nebraska. So first it means that you have a whole bunch to select from just from buses. That's the first part of the kind of the multimodal part of it. We're going to build something called light rail. And light rail is a fixed guideway system of trains on a fixed track. And those trains have stations about every mile, mile and a half. And it's in a densely urban area. So you can go from USF to another stop maybe a mile and a half away and keep on going on until you eventually get downtown, for example. That would be an example of light rail. And there's going to be about 45 miles of light rail built in 30 years. So when we talk about this plan, while light rail gets the lion's share of attention, it's really about more than light rail. It's about this better bus system which has a whole lot of different services, and you're offering people a whole bunch of choices. And you say to someone, if you live in Hillsborough County, here are your different choices of how you can get around.
Hillsborough area regional. HART, transportation for the people.
HART's an integral part of how we move around. They're a part of the family.
Best part of the day. Without the HART Flex van system, I'd be lost. I'd have to be going 32 miles a day on a bicycle. It meets my needs. And without it, I'd be in that hot road, on a bicycle, dangerous too. There's crazy drivers. I'm risking my life every day I get on that bicycle. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan.
In the cities where I have visited that have light rail, along the stops where those stations are, there seem to be a regeneration of the area. You have a number of jobs that are being created all along the rail line.
Next stop, Tukwila International Boulevard Station.
Just the build out of the system will be a stimulus program for Hillsborough County, because we're going to be building this enhanced bus system, we're going to be building this light rail system over 30, 40 years. That in and of itself will create a lot of construction projects.
Good, Rob. In New Jersey, in Camden, where I live at, first they didn't want it. There was 66 miles of light rail system that went in. People didn't want it. People fought, they didn't want it. Now, they can't get enough. Now they want to build it, extend it, and the trolley is always full. It's always full.
Tampa needs to continue to be a destination city. And with light rail, we will be able to continue to attract those great big conventions that bring dollars to the area. People that will come to Tampa that will shop, they will dine, they'll stay in hotels, they'll provide jobs. They may go to the beach, but with the rail, what will happen is we will grow, our economy will grow, it will become stronger.
The light rail and every other community that's built it has been a catalyst for business growth. There's just no doubt about this. I mean, you look at Phoenix, for example, $6 billion of private investment has followed the train stations. Because these light rail stations, they're not HART bus stops. Light rail stations are centers of commerce. These are centers where you have retail and commercial and residential. They actually become little mini urban areas where people work and people live and people recreate.
What we're finding is that every community, from Charlotte to Denver to Salt Lake, Dallas, Houston, that have invested in transportation and in transit in particular, for the $1 of investment in transit, there's a $6 to $9 return in private businesses that are saying we want to locate along those transit stops.
In order for this city to grow and to succeed, for my grandchildren and my children even, we need to have the investment made to have light rail. It's just shown to be a success in every major metropolitan city that's recently added it. That's a big investment, but we can't succeed without it.
This region is suffering now because we don't have adequate transportation. And I'm hoping that the citizenry of Hillsborough County will see this.
We're on board. We think it's a good investment, and we think it's particularly good for our community here at Ybor. If we're going to be that next great city everybody talked about, We need to take some action now when the opportunity presents itself so that we're ready for the future.
Whether it's road only, we've seen that. It doesn't work. Buses by themselves aren't going to be able to do it. And rail by itself can't do it. You've got to be smart and mix the three. That's what we're doing. We're talking about building a system that will provide services for everyone.
My message would be that it makes sense because it will give us better transportation. It would encourage more people to ride the bus and the rail and eliminate the need for a lot of automobile traffic.
I think quality of life is having choices. I think it's being able to be a pedestrian one day and drive a car another day, but also take a bus or train. But it's to have these choices, these opportunities to get to these places, to take advantage of all the things that we have in this community.
Rather than saying to the citizen, we're going to continue to do the same old thing, we're going to keep widening roads, and we're going to pay for it through property taxes. I think it's a lot smarter to find an alternative funding source that everyone, including the tourist and outside visitor, pays.
Without rail, we're going to become stagnant. We're going to be left behind, and we're going to wonder what happened. It reminds me of a restaurant that didn't stay up to times, and he kept on having the same diners, but little by little, he lost them to time. And he said, what happened? And that's what will happen in Tampa if we don't meet the challenge of having light rail into our community. We'll say, what happened to this great city?
I'll tell you what the most costly thing will be for our community if we decide to do nothing. And this issue is put on a shelf somewhere. It will be ever more costly to live in Hillsborough County in the years to come. Traffic will continue to increase. There won't be money to widen the roads. The quality of life will decline. Businesses that would have come here will not come here. Urban sprawl will continue. That's the most expensive kind of growth there is, and it will actually cost. And you know what's going to happen one day? If these plans just sit on a shelf, one day there'll be some world events that make gas go up to $3, $4, $5 a gallon. And all of a sudden, the cost to go to work and to do anything is going to skyrocket within every person's budget. And people are going to look around and they're going to say, why don't we have a transit alternative? And that's what will happen if we don't act and do something in a positive, proactive way.